Hey there guys, it's Joey. So I wanted to talk to you about something which happened to me in my dreams and my spiritual practice as of today and last night that I thought was really super exciting, and I've been kind of blown away by it, and I thought I really want to share and talk about this because it's kind of topical. I'm calling it star sigils, sigils of stars and constellations, and it is in part a VR to the incredible video that Kelly Ann put out about sigils and sigil magic. And this isn't it, obviously. This is just a little ball of stars, which I think is awesome, and I may have to take a picture of them because they do look really awesome with all the sunshine on them. And I just wanted something cool in shot while we just talk about the dream and how it came to me and what I've been playing around with, and then I'm going to show you some examples of star sigils that I've come up with. I focused on a love element for the ones that I'm going to show in shot, but you know, it lends itself to all sorts of different things, and I'm like super excited and super fascinated. And it's sigils is something that I have gone back and forth over the years with. They're something that I quite enjoy. I'm quite a lover of the written word, so symbols and sigils that incorporate lettering and like the physical symbols of things like the ogam is particularly close to my heart, obviously, and things of that nature. So I enjoy the idea of the physical creation of a magical lettering and things of that nature. It appeals to my Virgo sensibilities maybe, and the other sensibilities within me, I guess. And over the years I've gone back and forth a little bit. Sometimes I've embraced it a little bit more, sometimes I've embraced it a little bit less. When you're first getting into sigils and things, the thing that overly presents itself is the Nordic Fuak runes, and I never got on with those for divination. I could get on with them okay for sigil magic, but they didn't speak to me on a deep soul level like they do to some people. And I've intermingled with sigils throughout my sort of Celtic leaning path, here, there and everywhere. But last night I had this dream, and this dream was one of the most intense and witchy gifts from the gods that I have had in dream form for a long time. I don't tend to get full-on messages in my dreams. I tend to feel them and hear them in meditation and things. So for a full-on subconscious dream gift is unusual for me, and it was amazing. It was so in-depth, and there was elements of it that didn't make sense until I sat down and like wrote down what I saw and realised what I'd seen. And what I had seen is constellation star sigils that gave me messages as I unwove the sigil message that was in my dreams. And I was like, oh my god, like, wow. And it gave me the information and what to do and all the rest of it. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm like super stoked that this happened. I was like, I've got to share that this happened, and the ideas that have come about afterwards as a result. I was like, it's just amazing. One of those oh my god moments, like, oh, so exciting. I was like, oh, it's something else. It was amazing. So the star sigils was basically a combination of constellations in the sky, and sort of a simplistic form drawn with circles and lines. I've got some images that I'm going to show you in a minute to show you what I mean, and then combining them with sigils and signs that correspond to the intention. They create a magical sign, a magical intention, and Kelly Ann covered all that perfectly in her video, so I'm not going to go into all of that because she's already done it and done a far better job than me. Right, so just going to move the beautiful stars out of the way for a minute. So I've basically done some power cards in true Virgo-esque style to show you guys what I mean, and This particular is to do with love magic and bringing love forth. So the first thing is a star sign, and this is Aries, and I chose Aries for a number of reasons. One, it's the most simplistic to draw. And I have drawn a more complicated one of another one, so I thought we'd keep the star sign one quite simplistic. You might want to use your own star sign if you're drawing love to yourself. You might want to draw the star sign that you feel you're most compatible with. You might want to draw the star sign not so much for it to be that specific star sign, but because of the traits that you're looking for. So Aries are kind of headstrong, they're kind of passionate, they charge in, take authority, a little bit confrontational, a little bit dramatic maybe, and if that was something that you were looking for, then that might be the star sign that you use. And then I had a look at sigils, so I then had a look at this as a sigil of intelligence of Venus from Stenwick, and I've been reading this morning all of the stuff that he had on his discussion of different sigils, particularly with planetary aspects. I think he's fairly Kabbalistic and magician-esque in his approach to things, which I think a lot of the sigil magic actually comes from that very structured form of magic, and it's not something that I have read in depth. I've read bits and pieces over the years, but it's not something that I feel I have a solid grounding in, so I'm not going to even try and cover that, because I don't think that's, you know, fair. I haven't got a solid grounding in that as much as I would like in order to present that information. But the sigils are really interesting, and I was going through the different sigils that he presented of the signs and the intelligence and so forth, and their meaning throughout time. So they do have like quite a long history of being in use, and this one is sigil of the intelligence of Venus. So this is a sigil associated with the energy of Venus, and a lot of the star signs have constellations, have a Greek philosophy behind them for obvious reasons, because the Greeks and the Romans are perhaps best known as, you know, the mapper of stars and the legends that apply to the particular stars, at least here in the West. And as a result, a lot of the Greek mythology runs through the naming of particular stars and the legends that are applied to the particular stars. It's not true across the board, of course, but it's true largely putting. So then I created two sigils by combining the sigil of intelligence with constellations. So as you see, I used Aries as an example, and this is how it turned out. And the little dots are the stars, and I really like the idea of creating like a cosmic sigil. Like, this is how it would look as a constellation in the night sky, and it brings a kind of joy to my heart when I think about it, because I've talked a bit in the past about the fact that witches often feel that they connect to the nighttime sky and look up at the stars, and it helps us feel interconnected on a level that perhaps we feel that we miss a little bit. Oh my goodness, there's suddenly 5-6 crows outside. Sorry, distracted again by wildlife. It's happening a lot here. So we feel that we are connected to other people in the universe by the night sky, because no matter where you are, someone else is looking up at those same stars, and stars as a guiding light throughout time, as a form of navigating across the seas, navigating the heavens, putting structure and order to our lives based around the movements of the stars, and you know, the categorization of things like horoscopes, and giving a little bit of clarity, a little bit of direction, which I think sigils lend themselves to really well in sort of a sympathetic form of magic. So I was really stoked about this idea. So that is the sigil I came up for Aries and Venus, and then I came up with another one for Orion. So Orion, there you go, Orion's a bit, it says Orion and Venus, but if I do like, oh, there we go, Orion and Venus. So here you can see the Venus sigil, and then the whole larger part is Orion. So Orion has a special place in my heart in terms of a constellation. It's like the only constellation I could always find. Looking up at the heavens, I would always find Orion and Orion's belt straight away. Plus, for some reason, I have jokes in my head about Orion and his belt. But there you go. In the Greek mythos, he fell in love with Artemis, and there's a whole love story there. And you can choose to pull aspects of Greek mythology in terms of love stories and the associated constellation of stars to the meaning of the sigil that you're creating. I possibly would go with the star sign angle a little more for a few reasons. There's a little bit of tragedy in most love stories, particularly in Greek mythos. You know, gods and men should not be getting together, says Zeus, unless you're Zeus. In which case, screw everybody, literally. But I really like the idea of intermingling a different constellation other than a star sign, because I thought it would be really good to take a mythos element to it as well when creating a sigil, because you've got those stories, and particularly if you have a deep love of the Greek mythos or you follow the Greek mythos, then it lends itself really, really well to the energy of creating a star sigil, a constellation sigil. And I have a deep love of the Greek mythology. I've learnt it as a kid and loved it as a kid, and it's stayed with me, and I've kept all the mythos on board. It's not my particular pantheon, but I have a deep love of it, so I really like the idea of incorporating different constellations. So this one is the Orion. But for the final product, if you like, I decided to go with the star sign, the Aries and Venus. And I thought about this because there's a couple of ways you could do it. You could present it on a colour coordinated piece of paper that was colour coordinated to the colour magic of love, so red or pink. But the way that I decided to go for, because I really preferred this, is to actually go on a black piece of paper with silver, and the silver is kind of like the starlight, so it kind of looks like the night sky with the stars shining on, and you can almost picture in your head as if this was in the heavens and it was shining, and you can see the stars and you can just dot them up in your head with that sort of mystical line of imagination. You know, you're creating that in your mind's eye as something to focus on and meditate on, and then you can take this sigil and use it however you best see fit, within your magical practice, within magical spells, within meditations, on however you want to. But I really, really love this idea, and like I said, it came to me in this dream, and this dream was so in depth, so in detail. I was like, wow, and I was totally blown away. I was like, I need to share this because this is so cool. It makes quite a nice VR to Kelly Ann's video as well, which is amazing. So I really, really wanted to do it, and I hope you really enjoyed this because I'm super stoked for it. I think it's really exciting. So that's it for my video on star sigils and constellations. Many blessings.